Hey all. Hope you're staying safe right now. As circumstances being what they are, I'm not actually going to see you in person until the final critique next Wednesday. Not to leave you hanging though, I'm going to be recording a couple of short lectures, demos, and providing feedback via discussions on Canvas so that we can finish this project out strong. Speaking of, let's jump into it and briefly talk about layout, which is what you're going to be doing for the next section of this project. So last week we introduced Photoshop and some basic skills like isolating a subject from the background. Tonight, you should have your analog alphabet letters isolated and ready to be put into your final deliverable, be it a book cover, an event poster, or a product ad. But before you do that, we need to talk about a really important design principle, which is visual hierarchy. Now, what is that? Visual hierarchy is the order of information that an audience takes in. It really is the thing that shows us where to begin and where to go next through different levels of emphasis. Now, hierarchy can be established through scale, color, type style, spacing, and a lot more. But we inherently understand hierarchy through the way we read. We read left to right, top to bottom. Knowing that, we can organize our layout in a really logical way so that our audience's eyes move from the top to the bottom of the poster, making sure they're reading all of the words in the correct order. So, in this poster, for example, we start at the top with this half-cut orange and read downwards. From our grove to your glass, ending on a glass of juice and the logo of the product. There's a literal and a metaphorical journey we've taken from the farmer's gloves and a cut orange at the top, to the discarded peels making up the analog alphabet, to the freshly squeezed glass of juice at the very bottom of the poster. Now, you're going to be challenged to do a lot more than just placing all of your words top to bottom in a straight line, which brings us to talking about layout and composition. Now, these two things are kind of used interchangeably, but there's a couple of differences between the definitions that we'll get into. Composition is separate elements coming together to form a whole design. Outside of graphic design, you know compositions referring to pieces of fine art and music and literature. But in graphic design, when we talk about compositions and its separate elements, we're talking about things like your analog letters, the key pieces of art, body copy, or any digital typography that you might add, and ornamentation, props, and decorations. We can put all of these together into a layout. Now, what a layout is arrangements of elements on a page. So while composition is really talking about the individual parts, a layout is really talking about the arrangement. Where is it placed? So, looking at this poster, we can notice there's a lot of circular shapes going on. The letters and ornamentations aren't just placed in these straight lines, they're curved. It's creating circles. All of this is emphasizing the visual motif of an orange. The orange at the very top of the poster, the shape of the orange peel letters, how they're creating this circle in the very center, the juice at the bottom, another circle, all of the ornamentation around it is creating and emphasizing this circular layout. Additionally, in our layout, we're playing up the orange color by making it the biggest and brightest color on the poster. This establishes it as our primary level of hierarchy. Second is our green leaves and the body copy, from our and to your. Whenever we see circles in a layout, we're immediately drawn to looking at the center. However, to your isn't what we're trying to focus on. So we're going to make our body copy, the digital type, in our secondary color, green, and make it a lot smaller. That way, the orange peel letters are still the focal point. So that is going to be our second level of hierarchy. And lastly, for our decorative element, are yellow farmer's gloves and the juice. There's a nice visual and metaphorical symmetry going on, conveying this narrative of a farmer picking up a Tropicana orange from the grove to then it finally getting squeezed into your glass. Now, this yellow also creates this triangle that points towards the middle of the layout where our eyes keep moving around and around. So, at first glance, this layout feels pretty simple, text top to bottom, but there's actually a lot of intention behind where everything is placed and what colors are used. So, how do you start your layout? Well, with sketches. I want you to thumbnail lots of layouts, experimenting with the size and position of your letters, how you want to place the emphasis of certain words, so making some words bigger than others, playing around with curved, straight, or diagonal grids. These sketches literally took 30 seconds, just bang out a ton of them. Experiment with the way that it looks. I want you to have layouts that are way more interesting than text in a horizontal line, top to bottom. From there, you choose one layout and then start replicating it in Photoshop. So, for Wednesday, this Wednesday, you'll be posting in Canvas your first pass at your poster. There's going to be a very specific discussion board for that post. So it doesn't have to be great, it doesn't even need to be good, but I would just want you to start laying it out so that we have something to give feedback on. So you're going to be posting your in-progress poster on Wednesday. Now, a couple of things to keep in mind, and so a couple of things to experiment with. Try doing a regular sort of vertical top-down layout. It's really clear, not a ton of ornamentation, but you'll notice though that these examples experiment a lot with scale, the most important words being the biggest. Something like our leftmost poster, rise and rest are really big. In the middle poster, token of me and bare minimum are really big. You'll also notice that it's experimenting with different type styles. So a serif versus a sans serif, a sans serif versus a script, and color. Certain phrases are grouped together, like in our middle example, here's is purple and token of me is red. There's lots of different things you can do in a relatively simple layout that can still make it visually interesting. Additionally, you could just try a diagonal layout. This is my favorite trick in the book, to just take up more space in a composition, having your letters kind of lead upwards or downwards, left to right. It makes it feel a little bit more dynamic and that there's more movement. Or, lastly, like my example, a circular layout. You can curve words or phrases, another really great way to take up space, and add a lot of visual interest in keeping the eye moving around and around. So, take a stab at designing your layouts and we'll finesse them starting on Wednesday. I'm excited to see what you come up with. Thanks!